That's it! This is the best game ever! Well, that was absolutely awful.
Alright boys and girls, I hope you're having a lovely day, okay? Today lads, I want to talk about some King Kong games, okay? Obviously the new King Kong and Godzilla film is coming out very, very soon. And I figured to celebrate, I would talk about lots of King Kong games and lots of Godzilla games as well. I'll be doing that video very, very soon. And I've got to be honest with you guys, I wasn't actually initially going to do a King Kong video. I was just going to do the Godzilla one, because truth be told, I'm a much bigger fan of Godzilla than I am King Kong. I don't dislike King Kong or anything, but I'm definitely a much bigger Godzilla fan. I'm just not really that into King Kong, to be honest.
Well, hang on, you've just...
No, I like it. This is brilliant. But I like this.
But the reason I did decide to do a King Kong video, lads, is for one, I did actually kind of feel bad for the big old gorilla. I felt like I should include him. But the second reason I wanted to do it, lads, is there's one video game in particular that I just really wanted to tell you guys about because it's so freaking good, and any King Kong or just any video game fan in general needs to play. I'll be totally honest, a lot of the games I'm going to be talking about today are not the best, okay? There's some really bad King Kong games, but there's one game in particular that I absolutely love. But anyway, boys, let's stop stalling for time, okay? Let's just dive straight into it, okay? I want to start off by talking about some of the Game Boy Advance ones. You'll actually be surprised, there's a lot of King Kong games on the Game Boy Advance. And the first one I want to talk about here, lads, is going to be Kong King of Atlantis. And as you guys can see, I've got this over here in a cassette case, and the reason for that is I actually like to make my own custom covers and build my own sort of custom case for it. I just buy old cassette tapes, throw away the old cassettes, and then just basically make my own custom covers. And unfortunately, I just didn't have enough time to print off a cover for this one, so it's just going to be in an empty case in a minute. Just to give you guys a bit of an example of what I've got here, here's a Godzilla one that I did make the case for, so we'll be talking about this game in a few days' time, and yeah, I'm quite happy with the way they come out. So yeah, I just make my own custom cases, but just haven't had time to do one for the King Kong. So unfortunately, I can only show you the unboxed version of this game. If it's going to focus, it's not focusing, but anyway, I don't think anyone cares. But anyway, boys, let's dive into what this game is all about, okay? So basically, this is just an action platformer. On the surface of things, you start the game and it looks pretty damn good. It looks like it's going to be a fun old time. And the more you play it, the more you realize it's not the best. It's not a horrible game, but it's also not amazing. Now, I want to kick things off with some positives with this game. I don't want to just shit all over it, okay? I want to start off with the music with this one, okay? The music to this game is actually pretty damn good. Also, graphically, this game looks pretty impressive. It's not going to blow you away or anything. You're not going to see Red Dead Redemption 2 or anything. But for a Game Boy Advance game, it does actually look pretty visually impressive. King Kong himself is very well designed. The different character models look decent. The color palette's good. It's just an overall very good looking Game Boy Advance game. The platforming side of this game is pretty good, okay? Nothing too insane. It's not like Super Mario Bros. 3 or anything. But the platforming is good. The controls are tight, so it does play decently well. Jumping feels pretty nice if you're playing as Kong or other characters. It just overall does play decently well enough. The only critique I would say with the controls is that for some reason the A and the B button are flipped around, so the A button, rather than it being jump, is actually the attack button, whereas B is the jump button. I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but that just doesn't feel right to me. I feel like that should be flipped around, and unfortunately you can't change that. But after you play it for a while, you do kind of get used to it, so it's not the end of the world. And when it comes to the positives, that's kind of it, lads, I'll be honest, okay? That's pretty much everything I liked about the game, and let's get on to the negatives. So the first thing that's bad about this game, lads, is that it is way too easy to get hit in this game. You are getting hit so constantly, and it becomes so irritating. There's just enemies everywhere. They're constantly hitting you from all sorts of different directions. You can't move out of the way. It's just infuriating. If you were going to attempt a no damage run on this game, it would be next to impossible. There's just too much to avoid, and it's nigh on impossible. Also, the beat 'em up mechanics of this game, if that's the right way of describing it, I don't know, the fighting of the game, you know, when you're controlling Kong and you're beating people up and shit, it's okay, but it's just not, I don't know what it is. I'm not even sure what it is about it. It just doesn't feel amazing. There's just something about the hit feedback that just doesn't quite feel right. I don't know what it is. It doesn't feel terrible or anything. It's fine, it's serviceable, but it doesn't feel great. Also, the level design to this game is just very weird and just unusual. So when you're playing a platformer, you usually just go from left to right until you reach the end of the level. That's how most platformers go. At least when it comes to 2D platformers. Obviously 3D is a completely different story, but 2D platformers, you go left and then you go right, you know, that's how it is. Whereas in this game, you go up, down, left, right, fucking all over the place, and it's like, it's just confusing. You'll just get confused and lost when you're playing it. Navigating the levels was just stressful in this game. I just didn't know where the fuck to go half the time. When it's a platformer, it should be fairly easy, and, you know, it shouldn't be difficult at all to find out where you're supposed to go. And there are times where you just have to take a leap of faith because you really don't know where to go. You've tried every direction, and the only like option you can do is just by blindly jumping off a mountain, for example, and then you end up in where you're supposed to go. It's just terrible level design. Now, honestly, my biggest problem with this game is just how repetitive it got. I just got super bored with it, to be honest. Once you played the first level, you've kind of played every level in the game, and I just got kind of bored with it because it just wasn't much to it. It's not a terrible game. There are definitely worse games even in this video, to be honest. There's some really awful games in this video. It's not the worst game ever. It's just not that great, and I would just say miss it because there's nothing to it, really. If you're like the biggest King Kong fan, then maybe you'll have some fun here, but honestly, it's just kind of average at best. Okay, then lads, next up I'm going to talk about Kong the Animated Series for the Game Boy Advance. Now, at first glance, lads, this game doesn't look that much different to the last game I talked about. You know, you would just have a look at it and think, okay, it's basically the same thing. They're both action platformers. You can play as Kong or human characters. But then you start playing it and you realize just how fucking terrible it is, okay? This game makes the last game look like a work of Shakespeare.
It's awful.
So the game will kick off and there's just a mountain of dialogue to sift through, okay? Not gonna lie, I couldn't be bothered to read it all because it just didn't seem particularly interesting from what I did read of it. I skimmed through it and was like, okay, yeah, fine, and then I just started skipping through the dialogue, and it took ages to skip through it. You can't just do like a one big skip, you have to skip through it one at a time, and that was already like a bad start. But obviously, that's not a big deal, I can forgive that, okay? If the gameplay is good, then I'm okay with it. Unfortunately, the gameplay is not good. The gameplay is awful. So yeah, like I said, boys, this is an action platformer, just like the last game, okay? So again, I was expecting it to control similarly to the last game, but it controls very weirdly and different. Like, the way you platform in this game just feels immediately off. Like, you don't know what it is at first, but you're just like, something doesn't feel right about the platforming. The last game's platforming felt fine. Again, nothing too ridiculous, but it was fine, whereas this one, it just feels terrible. And the reason for it is that for some reason, like when you jump and land, your character stops and then moves, as opposed to just being a continuous movement, like a seamless movement. It just stops and it kills any momentum with the platforming. I don't even know if I'm describing it very well, but every time you jump, your character stops and then moves, and again, it just feels awful when you play it. Imagine playing a Mario game where every time you jump, your character stops for like a split second and then moves, you know? It would feel awful, right? But that's how this game feels. It just doesn't feel right. And that one little thing just completely kills any fun when it comes to the platforming, because it just doesn't feel right. On top of that, this game suffers from the exact same problem the last game, where you just get hit by enemies all the time in just all different directions. You have the exact same problem in this game as you did the last one, if not worse in this game. At least with Kong Atlantis, I didn't really die from like getting hit by enemies. You know, I would get hit a lot, but I would be able to survive to the end of the level. Whereas this game, it actually killed me because I was just getting hit so often. And again, the platforming feels so bad that it feels nigh on impossible to get out of the way of some of it, you know? It just feels absolutely awful to play. And if I didn't already hate this game already, this game for some stupid reason decides that before you can finish a level, you have to find these like 3 different, like, I don't know what they are, they look like gravestones. You have to find these 3 things before you can finish every level. So you've managed to trudge your way to the end of a level and the game just stops and says, nope, you can't finish the level, you have to find these 3 things. And then you have to go backtracking all the way back through all the crap you've just gotten past, all the different obstacles, all the different enemies, and you have to find these 3 things, and it is fucking shit, alright? It is just so bad. There's honestly nothing good I can really say about this game, okay? The story's ass, the gameplay's ass, the game doesn't even look that good. There's just nothing redeemable here, lads, and I cannot think of a single reason that you'd want to play this game. I paid £10 for this game on eBay, and I feel robbed. I feel like someone went into my pocket, grabbed my wallet, and took all my money.
As you can see, I'm getting robbed.
I maybe played like 2 levels of this game because that's all I could stomach. It's just not a good game, okay? It's one of the worst Game Boy games I've ever played, and it's just right from the get-go, it just doesn't, like, there's just nothing good about it. Avoid this game at all costs. It's not a good one. Alright then, boys, let's finish off the Game Boy Advance King Kong games by ending on King Kong, the official video game. Now, I want to start off by saying, lads, that this is actually a good game, okay? Hallelujah, there's a good handheld King Kong game. I can't fucking believe it. After playing Kong animated series on Game Boy Advance, I'd lost all hope for the handheld King Kong games, okay? So when I started playing this one, I was pleasantly surprised that it was actually good. One of the coolest things about this game, lads, is that it's completely different to, like, the other games of the same name. Obviously, the official King Kong game had lots of different ports, okay? There's literally tons. It's probably one of the most ported games ever. The Game Boy Advance version of this game is completely different to, like, all the other ports, okay? It's a completely different game. Even in America, I think they called this game, like, King Kong 8th Wonder of the World. It's not even got the same title in America, but over here in, like, Europe, it was just called the official game of the movie. But yeah, like I said, boys, it's a completely different game to, like, the original game, okay? And I really loved it. I honestly thought it was really good. And what this game is, lads, is it's kind of like a 2D action game, but, like, very puzzle heavy. It's a very puzzle orientated game. You go through different temples and basically just have to get your way through by just solving different puzzles, and it's a really, really cool game. You'll have different characters in here as well, and they all have different abilities. Like Jack can, like, I think he has like a machine gun. There's another character that can throw grenades, for example. So they all have different abilities, and you'll need to use them to solve the puzzles. There's also some sections in here as well where you get to play as King Kong, and they're pretty damn fun. I enjoyed those, and it's kind of like a beat 'em up style game. It reminds me of like a King Kong version of Streets of Rage, which, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty cool idea. So those sections were pretty nice, and yeah, it's just a really fun game. I don't know what else to really say about it other than the fact that it's a really fun game. It looks really good, I will say that. Graphically, this game is pretty damn good looking. The sprites on this game are nice, the color palette's decent, although it's a little bit dreary looking, but I suppose that's kind of what they were going for. One weird thing about this game is that for some reason I felt like the volume was really quiet. I had this game maxed out on my Game Boy Advance, and for some reason it just felt really quiet, and I'm really not too sure why that was the case. It's probably the quietest game I've ever played on my Game Boy Advance, so I don't know, if you've got bad hearing, then maybe this game isn't for you.
Chocolates! What? Chocolates! I can't hear you! They're selling chocolates! They're selling chocolate! Yeah!
I honestly just want to give this game some credit, lads, for the fact that it was just so ambitious. Like, they literally made an entirely different game just for the Game Boy Advance experience. Like, a lot of times when, like, companies would do this and they would have different ports that maybe they couldn't get, like, the original game onto, like the Game Boy Advance, it would usually just be a terrible game. It'd be a pure cash grab, and it just wouldn't be a good game. It'd be super rushed. This game feels good, and it plays good, and it's just a really decent title. It is definitely worth playing if you're a King Kong fan, and it's by far the best, like, handheld King Kong game that I played. I really enjoyed it. Okay then, boys, I guess next up we'll talk about King Kong the official game, but on the PS2. Now, as I alerted to at the beginning of the video, lads, that there was one game in this video that I specifically wanted to talk about. This is it right here, okay? This is the game that I really wanted to talk to you guys about, okay? A lot of the games here aren't the best, but this one right here is chef kiss, okay? You need to play this game, especially if you're a King Kong fan. I mean, if you are a King Kong game, if you're a King Kong fan, you've probably already played it. This is an absolute masterpiece of a game right here, okay? I adored this one, and again, I'm not like the biggest King Kong fan, but this game kind of low-key made me a fan. There's just so much to talk about with this game, like, in terms of, like, how good it is, and it's a pleasant surprise, okay, because this is a really, really ambitious game, considering it's, like, a movie license game, and a lot of movie license games are not good, but this is definitely an exception. So in terms of what this game is, lads, it's primarily a first-person shooter, which immediately is a bit, like, strange, because you see a King Kong game, and you immediately think, well, it's just gonna be King Kong, and we're gonna be smashing shit up. But no, this game wanted to be, like, a full-on first-person shooter, so you're just basically playing as the humans for most of this game. Don't get me wrong, you can play as King Kong in this game during some sections, and we'll get into that, but yeah, primarily this is a first-person shooter, and a damn good one at that. This is not just a generic, standard first-person shooter that you'd come to expect, especially given that it was a movie license game. It's a really, really, like, unique first-person shooter. Rather than this game just being a first-person shooter where you go around just shooting up monsters, it tried to really draw you in with its atmosphere. And, like, the game kicks off and it honestly kind of has a bit of a creepy vibe to it. I mean, it's not scary necessarily, but I can imagine if you played this game as a kid, you would maybe be a little bit scared, just a tiny bit.
What have I got myself into? I am fucking shitting myself.
You start off in this weird jungle, and there's weird crab monsters everywhere, and it's just like, it's a little bit, I don't know, it's just got a nice sort of freaky atmosphere to it. Don't worry, lads, you're not just fighting weird creatures like big crabs for the whole game. You get to fight dinosaurs in this game, okay, and it almost becomes like a bit of a Turok game at times. You'll have to hide from the dinosaurs dinosaurs as well, if they're like really big T-Rexes and stuff, and that just gets your adrenaline pumping. This game just has a lovely atmosphere to it, you know, it just, I don't know, you really do actually feel like you're in a jungle when you play this game. In a lot of ways this game does capture that atmosphere is the way they deal with like the HUD in this game. So like a lot of games, obviously if you play a first-person shooter, you expect to see your ammo count, you expect to see a crosshair, things like that. In this game, you don't have any of that, okay? There's a 0 crosshair, so you kind of have to guess a little bit where you're going to shoot. This game is pretty generous with that, you know, you don't have to be like super precise, you'll usually hit the target. But when it comes to like checking your ammo, you kind of just have to ask and they'll just tell you, like they'll respond to you as opposed to just being a little counter on the screen. And this game basically has 0 HUD, so it really does draw you into it. It almost feels like a movie at times when you play it because you just like, there's certain things you expect to see in a first-person shooter that just aren't there. And also this game doesn't have like a health meter either, okay? This is probably like one of the first games that had like just regenerating health. You can't take a lot of damage in this game, which also adds to that realism. You can usually take about 2 hits. If you take a third, you'll usually die. So again, that just adds to that atmosphere of the game, just not having like a big old health bar that you have to look after. You just sort of have to like not get hit ever really, because if you do end up getting hit, then 9 times out of 10 you'll die. And honestly, I just found it super refreshing that we got to see one of these big monster games from the perspective of the humans, because a lot of the times, like I said, when you play a game like a King Kong game or a Godzilla game, you're usually playing as the big monsters themselves, whereas in this game you almost fear the monsters because you're not, you know, you're just playing as a tiny little human. And it was refreshing to be in the seat of the humans as opposed to like King Kong himself. But like I said, you do actually get to play as King Kong in this game. It's not quite as good as the first-person shooter elements of this game. That's definitely the highlight here, is the first-person sections, and that thankfully is like most of the game. But occasionally you will get to play as Kong, and it's not bad. It was a nice change of pace, but it's nothing amazing. It is cool when you get to play as King Kong in New York and you get to cause some havoc. That's really fun. I really like that bit. But yeah, most of the time you'll be spent doing the first-person shooter stuff, and that's definitely the highlight. And whilst we're on the topic of playing as King Kong, for some reason there's just this part that I just wanted to highlight to you guys because it just kind of cracks me up, to be honest. There's a part where Anne just starts screaming her fucking head off. King Kong picks her up and just, he looks so disgusted. I'm just gonna show you. It's just, it really did make me laugh for some reason.
Stop, enough, I can't have it, I can't take anymore.
So yeah, overall, boys and girls, King Kong on PS2 is easily, in my opinion, the best King Kong game, okay? If you want the best King Kong experience, you'll find it right here, okay? You absolutely, like, if you're a King Kong fan, you must play this game, and even if you aren't, like me, like, I'm not the biggest King Kong fan, I still think this is worth playing, because it's really good. Definitely one of the best movie licensed games, and definitely the best King Kong game, in my opinion. Alright, and lads, next up I want to talk about King Kong, the official game, but this time on the Nintendo DS. Okay then lads, so like I said before, there's a lot of different King Kong ports when it comes to this official game, okay? This game got so many ports, and most of them are the same, obviously. You know, the PS2 version is pretty much the same as the Xbox version. The 360 version, alright, graphically it's gonna look better, but again, it's the same sort of thing. But the DS version, very different, okay? Very different game, and of course the Game Boy Advance version, very different. Honestly lads, I look at the back here, and I'll just quickly show you guys. It looks pretty good. It looks like a decent little game. You know, you can see that it's first person, and I thought, okay, you know what, I'll take that. I'll take a little first-person shooter on the Nintendo DS, and I expected good things here. But honestly, lads, this might be not just the worst King Kong game I've ever played, this might be the worst game I've ever played, because it was so fucking bad. I couldn't believe it. I was flabbergasted at how bad this was, especially after playing the Game Boy Advance version, which was surprisingly good. I kind of assumed that, you know, there was a lot of effort that would have gone into this one. Like, if they put this much effort into the Game Boy Advance version, then I see no reason why this one wouldn't have had the same sort of effort. No, this game did not have the same amount of effort. Now, I won't surprise anyone here, lads, that visually this game is obviously not as good as this one, okay? I mean, I'm not surprised by that one bit. I wasn't expecting this game to look like the Mona Lisa, but fucking hell, this game does not look good. Like, right out the gate, the graphics of this game, it just reminds you, okay, we're playing a Nintendo DS here, okay? Yeah, it just doesn't look good. I think the worst thing about the game, like, visually, was, like, the animations here, like, with the character models. The way they move is just so hilarious. Like, it's obviously not intentional, but it just looks so fucking weird and funny.
What did I just see? What did I just see?
So yeah, we're not off to a good start here, boys, okay? I'm looking at the game and it's making me laugh unintentionally, okay? But that's not the worst of it, okay? If that was all it was, then I could overlook that. The first thing I want to mention here, lads, is the movement, okay? The movement in this game is painfully slow. It's one of the slowest first-person shooters I've ever played. And the way that Jack moves in this game, you would think he's got fucking, like, cannonballs tied to his ankles. He is so painfully slow for some reason. You can't sprint in this game, like, you just are stuck moving at a snail's pace. So we're already, like, it's just not looking good. Then we encounter our first enemy, lads. Like, and our first enemy is going to be one of those weird crab-looking creatures, which in the PS2 version look really cool. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, you know, I was taken aback a little bit because they were kind of creepy looking. In this game, they just spawn out of thin air, it seems. Like, where the fuck did they even come from? They come out of these little holes, and they literally, like, just come out of thin air. It's weird. They don't look even slightly threatening. They just look fucking terrible. And then you throw a spear at it, and it just, like, flops on its back, and it's dead. I'm like, okay, that's something. The controls of this game, as you guys can imagine, are not the best on the DS. I will give it a little bit of a pass because, I mean, it's on the DS. There's only so much you can do with a first-person shooter. It's one of those ones where you have to control it with a stylus. It's fine. It's serviceable. But it's just one of those games where it'll just start to hurt your hands after a while. Like, you'll get, like, the hand cramp, if anyone knows what I'm talking about when you play DS. You guys will know. But yeah, not, like, terrible controls or anything, but just, I don't know, just gave me hand cramp. But anyway, boys, moving on. The game, I'm playing it, you know, I'm killing all these crabs, and it's fine. Like, it's not a good game, but it's not, like, it's not terrible just yet, okay? But when this game gets terrible is when we encounter the big boy, okay? And when I say the big boy, I mean the big crab. He's exactly the same as the other crabs before, but he's just absolutely fucking gigantic, okay? And I'm like, okay, we got a bit of a boss battle here. All right, let's get to it. Let's see what this is all about. At this point in the game, I've acquired a machine gun, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna absolutely wreck this crab. It's not gonna be a problem, you know? I'm looking forward to it. I start putting some rounds into him, and he just doesn't want to die. I'm like, why is this crab not fucking dying? Like, he is a complete bullet sponge. And unfortunately, because the movement is so freaking slow, I end up getting killed by this crab because I can't move away quick enough, and he kills me. And I think, okay, that's not a problem. We'll start again. You know, I'll you know, get a checkpoint next to the crab, and we'll try again. Nope. This game has a checkpoint all the way at the beginning of the freaking level. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it's fine. It's not a big deal, boys. All right, I'll just play it through. I'll go through all the different crabs again, kill all of them, and we'll get to him and shoot him again, and we'll try again. And I die again, and again, and again, and again. All the while, this game has no checkpoint, so I have to keep doing the entire level from the beginning again because this stupid fucking crab doesn't want to die. But lads, if you know me, I like to persevere, okay? I don't like to give up too easily, so I keep trying and trying and trying, and finally, I kill this big fucking crab. Finally. I ended up using like 6 entire machine gun rounds on him. No joke. There was hundreds of bullets that went into this big crab, but finally he died, and I thought, oh my god, hallelujah, I can progress with this game. Unfortunately though, lads, my sorrows do not end there, okay? I moved maybe 10 meters, and there's more of those smaller crabs again. I'm like, for fuck's sake, I've got no ammo. I've just used it all on this big fucking crab, and I've got no ammo. Most normal games would maybe supply you with some ammo after a boss like that. Not this game. Nope, you don't get any ammo. So these little crabs start attacking Anne. I'm like, for fuck's sake, I haven't got any ammo. I can't do anything. Anne gets killed by the crabs, and I have to do the whole level again. And at that point, lads, I said, fuck it. I ain't playing this game. It is pure and utter dog shit. One of the worst games I ever played, and I maybe only played about fucking half an hour of it and saw about 1 fraction of the game, and I can already tell you it is terrible. And do you know what makes the experience even worse with this game, lads? I had to buy this piece of shit twice. I bought this game for £1.50 at CEX, and I start playing it, and it doesn't want to work. The cartridge doesn't work, but it's £1.50, and I can't be bothered to take it back, so I just look on eBay, and I just find like the cheapest copy I can find, cartridge only, and I buy it again. And it turns out there was nothing wrong with the fucking cartridge. It just didn't want to work at that time. So I bought this piece of shit twice, and I'm just, yeah, I'm pissed off, lads. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's one of the worst games I've ever played. Do not play it. It is awful. Just, it's made me angry. That's how bad it is. Just remembering how bad it was has made me angry. But buy this one, don't buy this one.
You're ugly and gay.
Oh.
Okay, then lads, the next game I want to talk about here is going to be Rampage Total Destruction.
I'm Mike Malloy, reporting.
Now, I'm going to make this one real quick, lads. I don't want to talk about this one too much because it's not really a King Kong game, okay? I picked this one up at CEX purely because I saw the front cover and I thought, hey, that kind of looks like King Kong. Maybe we could mention this in the King Kong video. Yeah, it's not officially King Kong, but it's definitely inspired by King Kong. There's no way that this game was not inspired by, like, kaiju and different monsters. You mean, you can literally see a Godzilla-looking guy right there. But yeah, I maybe played about an hour of this one, lads, and this was absolutely amazingly fun, okay? I really enjoyed it. You could pretty much pick a monster here, lads, and just wreck everything in your way, okay? You see a building, destroy it. You see a car, destroy it. You see people, destroy them, okay? You can literally eat people in this game. For those that just like big rampaging monsters, this is a perfect game, okay? I know it's not an official King Kong game, but if you like the destruction side of King Kong, you need to play this, okay? It's like super cheap as well. Definitely try this one. I really enjoyed this game. Okay, then let's just end this video by talking about one of my favorite games of all time. I can't even make that joke. We're going to talk about Skull Island Rise of Kong. Okay then, lads, so where do we start with this game? Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not gonna lie, lads, I did not think this game would be as bad as everybody said it was. I honestly thought that people were maybe exaggerating a little bit and just sort of making it look worse than it really was. I really did not think it could possibly be as bad as what people said. So I wanted to give this game a fair chance, okay? I wanted to give it at least a shot and see if it would impress me, because I'm not difficult to impress, lads. If a game is even reasonably fun, I'm happy. With this game, it was not.
That's it. This is the worst game I have ever played.
So yeah, my first impression of this game, lads, actually wasn't terrible, okay? I had a look at the graphics of this game and I thought, yeah, it looks alright, you know, it doesn't look the worst I've ever seen. I expected it to look a lot worse. It's got a bit of a cel-shaded style to it, so yeah, it looks, I mean, it doesn't look good, you know, but it doesn't look terrible. I honestly thought this game's graphics would look like a PS1 game. Honestly, it doesn't look that bad. Unfortunately, lads, my compliments for this game ends there, okay? Because as soon as I take control as Kong in this game and start playing, I start to realize why this game was as bad as everyone said. So first of all, I noticed the camera control in this game, lads. The camera control in this game is, I mean, I would call it bad, but I think it's borderline unplayable. Like, the gameplay I'm showing you right here is the camera control. Why is it so fucking bad? But at first I was like, it's not really a big deal. I'll just pause the game, go into the options menu, and change the sensitivity on the camera. That's not going to be a big issue. As far as I can tell, you can't change the sensitivity on the camera. I'm pretty sure that it stays like that, and there's nothing you can do. So yeah, we're already off to an absolutely torrid start. The red flags have already begun, and I haven't even started walking as Kong yet. I'm literally just controlling the camera. Alright, that is not a good start. So yeah, the next step then, lads, is to start moving as Kong. Let's see what the movement in this game feels like. And immediately, I couldn't believe how clunky it all felt. This game requires you to do some pretty basic platforming, okay? Nothing too crazy, nothing Mario-like. Just go on the rock here, jump here, right? Nothing too ridiculous. And that whole affair could not feel any more clunky. It feels terrible to jump as Kong in this game. Like, honestly awful. And to make matters worse, lads, whilst I'm platforming, I miss the fucking ledge I'm supposed to jump on, and I end up being stuck in a fucking rock. Like it's a goddamn porn video. I'm expecting like a dinosaur to come up behind me.
Stop! And then stop right there. 72 games. Stop right there.
So yeah, we're about 5 minutes into this game, lads, and I already fucking hate it, alright? I do not like this game one bit, and we haven't even really started yet. The combat in this game is horrendous, okay? The combat feels awful. It just doesn't feel good at all. If this game tried to make it feel more unsatisfying, I don't think it could. It literally is the most unsatisfying combat ever. It just feels terrible. And it's just made even worse with that fucking awful camera that's just spazzing around, and it's just, oh my god, the combat, it's just so bad. And then, lads, I discover a bit of a golden nugget when it comes to this game, okay? I realized you don't even have to fucking fight the enemies. You can literally run past them. I'm not even joking. You don't have to fight. You can just sprint past them and move on. What the fuck? So yeah, that's like some of the gameplay side of things, lads. Let's talk about the cutscenes in this game. The cutscenes are my favourite part of this game, and it's not because they're really good, you know, you're not going to get a great story here. They're just so fucking funny, though. I was cracking up with the cutscenes and how bad they are.
I'm having such a hard time keeping a fucking straight face.
But yeah, back onto the gameplay, lads. More negatives here. The enemies just take so long to kill. Like, why do they take so long to kill? Why is that always a common theme when it comes to just bad video games, is how spongy the enemies are? Like, did the developers of this game play this one? I feel like they must have. They must have been playing this one when they were inspired to make this. They definitely played that bullet sponge crab and thought, you know what? We're going to replicate the enemies from that game into this one. And funnily enough, lads, I actually now remember the straw that broke the camel's back with this game for me. The moment that I put this game down was, funnily enough, a spongy crab enemy. What is it with fucking crabs and King Kong and just being the worst enemy ever? But yeah, I remember this big old fucking crab that I just lost my temper with because it was just taking way too many hits, and I said, you know what, fuck this game, I don't want to play it anymore. I hate crabs now. I didn't think I hated crabs, but now I do.
I hate you! I hate the air that you breathe! I hate the fact that you're even living!
So yeah, on the whole, lads, this game was shit. It was very, very shit. I had low expectations for this game. I didn't think it was gonna be that good, but still, I was actually shocked at how bad it was. I didn't think it could be as bad as people said it was, but yeah, it absolutely is. Everyone that said bad things about this game is fully correct. There is pretty much nothing good about it. The only compliment I can give it is that it didn't look as shit as I thought it would, like graphically. It doesn't look good either, by the way. It just doesn't look as bad as I imagined. But yeah, on the whole, lads, the gameplay is just fucking terrible, and it's a bad game. Just don't play it. Like, if it goes without saying, don't play it. Most of the games here, don't play, because they're all kind of shit. The only one really you need to play is this one. Just buy this one. It's like a couple pounds at CEX or whatever, or eBay. Get this game in your life and just play it, because this one is good. The rest of them are either mid or shit. Oh, actually, tell a lie. Rampage Total Destruction. It's not a King Kong game, but this is good. But anyway, lads, that is all the King Kong games I was able to get hold of and play. On the whole, like I said, there's a lot of bad games here, but still, at least there was a couple of good ones, so I'm not too unhappy. But yeah, let me know in the comments, boys, are you looking forward to the new Godzilla x Kong movie? I certainly am, and also look forward to a Godzilla video coming very, very soon. Other than that, though, boys, subscribe here if you're new, and I'll see you guys next one, alright? Peace.